Last week, Russian Foreign Minister Sergei Lavrov attended the G20 meeting in Bali. It was the highest level meeting between Russia and the West since Russia invaded Ukraine. So this was a rare opportunity to strike a deal, even if the likelihood of success was low. Lavrov received an ice-cold reception and was even heckled by delegates who asked him when he would end the war. Afterwards, he said, quote, "The West doesn't want talks to take place, but wishes for Ukraine to defeat Russia on the battlefield." He concluded, quote, "There is nothing to talk about with the West." Then he left. This is different to Trump's brinkmanship because there was no cost to Russia for walking away, and Lavrov suffered no damage at home from Russians who, for deeply entrenched cultural reasons, support the war in Ukraine. In some ways, it was surprising that Lavrov was even in Bali, let alone being prepared to talk to the West. The West had made it clear at the previous G20 meeting in Washington in April that they weren't interested in open dialogue. At that meeting, United States Treasury Secretary Janet Yellen led a walkout of Western diplomats merely because a couple of Russian officials were appearing via video. Her Canadian counterpart, Chrystia Freeland, was indignant about the Russian presence, saying, quote, "The world's democracies will not stand idly by in the face of continued Russian aggression and war crimes." She went on, quote, "Russia's illegal invasion of Ukraine is a grave threat to the global economy. Russia should not be participating or included in these meetings." Where's the diplomacy in that? What was she trying to achieve other than to look mildly assertive? These people couldn't negotiate a discount on an overpriced second-hand larder, let alone find a path to peace with a nuclear-armed aggressor. Their incompetence is one thing, but the stakes are another. These meetings affect the lives of billions of people. The war in Ukraine has disrupted global food supplies, which had already been decimated by the COVID lockdowns. One United Nations spokesman said, quote, "The global price spikes in food, fuel and fertilisers as a result of the crisis in Ukraine threaten to push countries around the world into famine." He went on, quote, "The result will be global destabilisation, starvation and mass migration on an unprecedented scale. We have to act today to avert this looming catastrophe." Well, the Western negotiators who were in Bali last weekend might sleep easily at night knowing they gave Lavrov a piece of their mind, but they haven't made the world a safer place. In fact, we're now closer to nuclear war than we ever were when Trump was threatening to attack Pyongyang and Moscow. You can't help thinking that if Trump had been in Bali last weekend, the war in Ukraine would be one step closer to ending.